Well, hello. Welcome to the very first painting episode. I'm Robbie. Welcome to the show. We're going to do a nice little easy painting today in oils, and I'll run the colors along the bottom here so you know what colors we're using. Okay, so what I've done so far is I put a thin, even coat of liquid white on the canvas. So you've got a dry canvas and you put liquid white. Let's see, there you can see it a little bit better. This is the Bob Ross liquid white. There might be a couple other manufacturers that make it. I'm going to post a video that shows you how to apply it. But the main thing is you don't want a lot of this on there. You just want enough to where if you touch, let's see, it's going to focus in. There's a little tiny bit on the end of my finger. You don't want a lot of liquid white. Anyway, we've got our colors here. We're going to grab our 2-inch brush and we're going to come into a little bit of blue and just get a little bit of blue here. And I'm just tapping the brush, trying to get an even amount of phthalo blue. That's the blue we're using. If you have a different blue, it'll work. Main thing is just blue. And we're going to come up here to the canvas and we're going to start up at the top and we're going to put in a little sky. We're going to have a sky. It's going to be an easy painting. I'm thinking, I haven't thought it through all the way, but I'm thinking a sky, maybe some rolling hills, and some trees at the bottom with some grass in the middle. Nice and easy. Nothing real complicated if it's the first time you've painted. So we're going to come up here. We're going to add some blue, and we're going to do little X's. I'm going that way and that way. Just putting little X's. And the blue is going to mix with the liquid white that's on the canvas. And I think we're going to do a lighter sky. It's not going to be real dark. I think that's the idea that I'm wanting. So let me set my paint palette down real quick. So I want to wash this brush real quick. And we're going to wash it in our odorless thinner. And I'm going to come over here. I don't think I have a camera on my thinner bucket, but you get the idea. I'm washing my brush in some paint thinner. I've got a trash can here down by my feet. I'm going to shake it, beat the brush, and then get the paint thinner off. I also have paper towels. I keep paper towels down here on my easel, and I'm just going to make sure this is dry. The reason I'm drying the brush we just used in that is because we're going to use it as a blender brush. Now, if I had 3 or 4 of these going, I would just grab a clean one and we'd move on. But just clean that up. Now let's come back up here and we're going to blend some of this. So I can go around in circles. The more you blend, the lighter it's going to get because it's going to mix with that the liquid white that's underneath here. So we're going to come across. I probably should have used a little less blue. I was going to go even lighter than this, but that's fairly light sky. And I don't think we're putting any water in this one, but just in case we do decide, because we can change this at any time, I'm gonna come down here and just put in some blue at the bottom. And I come and I come from the outside edge in. That way I've got a feathered edge in the middle. If I started here with the blue and went to the outside, you'd have a hard line. So we come from the outside in. This is a Bob Ross trick. We're going to do a lot of different styles. This painting is a wet on wet in the Bob Ross tradition, Bill Alexander. There's many wet on wet painters out there. And this is one of the techniques that Bob Ross used. But we will do we'll do some traditional later on, and I've got some crazy ideas on oil painting. So we'll do a lot of different types of oil paintings. So there we go. We've got our sky. Wash our brush again and pat it on the side. Shake it off. And there we go. There we go. Okay. Now let's grab. Oh, I didn't say this in the beginning, but I also have a little container with some linseed oil in it, and we'll use this possibly in this painting to thin down the paint. There's two thinners that we're going to be using to thin our paint, our oil paint. One is linseed oil, or we might use paint thinner out of our brush cleaning bucket. We'll just grab a little bit of that. Not every time, but we might use it on this painting here. So, that in mind, let's come and grab our fan brush. So I've got my fan brush, and it's a number, I believe it's a number 4. It's a number 4 fan brush. Not very big, and it's not the tiniest one. We're gonna come in here and grab some titanium white, and we're just gonna load up both sides of the fan brush with some liquid or some titanium white and get quite a bit of paint on here. You can see that. That's not wanting to focus. These cameras, I'll tell you. Okay, we're going to come up here to our canvas, and we're just going to start swirling our brush. Little circles. Little circles. We're going to dab it. You don't have to do all circles, and you don't have to do all dabbing, but we're going to do a little combination of both. Just putting some white paint. Sometimes you can take the brush and squiggle it back and forth like that. Just about any old way. We're just going to put some paint on there and titanium white. Maybe over here we have one that's some streakers here. Like that. Okay. One more right over here on this side. All right there. That looks good. I'm going to go back to my dry, clean 2-inch brush, and we're going to use the top edge of the brush, and we're going to come up here and just blend a little bit at the right underneath these clouds. So we've got an edge around the top of the cloud. We don't want to blend, we don't want to touch that yet. We're going to blend right underneath it. We're going to use so I'm tilting the brush down like this and just making little circles, just blending Down here, blend this. And that one. Okay, just finishing our blending. A little more there. Just want to soften up these clouds a little bit underneath while leaving that upper edge of white that we put. That'll define the clouds, letting that top of the cloud stay intact. Okay, I'm gonna wash our brush real quick. And shake it off. And my towel, give it a good wipe, dry it out. Because we're going to take our 2-inch brush and we're going to just raise up, lifting, and we're going through that top of the cloud that I said we were going to avoid in the beginning. Now we're going to go ahead and lift. And then nice and easy back and forth. Just going to blend that. And I'm not, it may sound like I'm using pressure. I'm not using, I'm very lightly blending this. So, and there we go. We've got some clouds in the sky. Looking good so far. Okay, let's move on to our next. We're going to put some hills in here. Not going to get detailed mountains yet. We'll do that in another episode. I think we're going to do some hills. So let's take our, if you have a 1-inch brush, grab your 1-inch brush. And that I have what do I have? 3 brushes and a palette knife. So I've got a 1-inch, I've got the 2-inch brush, I've got a fan brush, and I've got a liner brush. And that's all I have going today. And I'll probably run a little video prior to this episode starting, and I'll show you what I'm using here. So I'm telling you something you already know. The magic of television. Okay, let's see. For our mountain color, let's go with the blue again, and we're just going to lighten it up just a hair. So I'm going to come in here and grab some titanium white, which already has a little bit of blue in it, and mix in with some of this blue. We don't need a whole lot of paint on our brush. Grab some titanium white, come in here. All right. We're going to come up here. Let's see how this looks. We're going to put some hills in. And these are distant hills, so we want them to be a little darker than the sky so they show up, but not so dark. The lighter they are, the farther away they're going to look. And these just go off. We don't know where, over here somewhere. And I'm going to take that 2-inch brush, and we're going to soften up the bottom of this. The bottom of this hill, we're just going to soften this up a little bit. And I'm pushing fairly hard. Don't want to touch the top of the hill yet. not yet. We're just going to soften up underneath here. Now, we're going to hold our, now we're going to come back up to the top of the hill, and we're going to do a little see if this technique works. We're going to hold the brush flat, and we're going to lift up. Just a quick little lift up. Make it look possibly like some distant trees. And we're just lifting. Not putting a lot of pressure. I'm just coming up by the top of this hill and flicking upwards to take some of that blue paint we just put on there and make it appear like might have some distant trees. I think we got the appearance of some distant trees. Very good. Okay. Speaking of trees, let's grab our fan brush. And my fan brush is still dirty. It's got the titanium white on it. Let's go into our blue. Let's grab a little bit of green here. We got sap green. Sap green. And we're going to come over here and grab a little bit of blue. And I've got the titanium white. Medium color blue-green is what we've got. Add a little more blue. All right. Something like that, a little darker blue-green. And we're going to take our fan brush. We're going to hold it up and down. And we're going to come and we're going to put, and I'm just touching. And we're going to go up and down and down and up. I'm going to put a little line of trees. Little line of trees over here. Come in here and grab a little more of this blue-green color that we mixed up. And if you start running out of your color, add a little more green to it, add a little more blue to it. It doesn't have to be this exact color. If yours is a little darker or a little lighter than what I'm putting on here, that's fine. We're going simple today. We're not worrying too much about the color we're using. I'm just showing you how to apply it and create a painting. Nice, easy painting. Don't make all your trees. Don't do that. Starts looking like fence posts. Make sure they're different heights. You got some small ones, some taller ones. And I'm just going to come over here and maybe some of these are a little bit bigger. I like it. I like it. I'm going to add a few more in here. All right. And grab a little more of that color. And I'm going to turn the brush the other way now. Instead of up and down vertical, we're going to go horizontal. On that same fan brush, same color, we're going to go horizontal now. Let's see, add that. And I'm just going to add in some color at the bottom of these trees. All right. Looks good so far. Got a tree line, we've got a rolling hill in the background, distant hill. Like I said, we're gonna wrap this painting up fairly quick. It's gonna be quick and easy painting. All right, let's grab our 2-inch brush that's dirty. Haven't cleaned this in a little while. And I'm going to come along here and just tap underneath these trees and soften up the transition between the two. The trees that we just laid down, and then that ground that we put underneath it. Just soften it up a little bit. Didn't need to do that, but I felt like I wanted to. So we do what we want to around here. You do what you want to, and I'll do what I want to, and we'll see how that turns out. Okay, let's grab. Let's see. Let's grab our. We'll stick with the fan brush for right now. And let me wash off this fan brush. And grab my paper towel. Just give that a wipe. I'm going to change colors here. Okay, we're going to come in here to some yellow. And let's grab some sap green and bring it over to the yellow. So I want a little more yellow in here. I want this to be a light green. Not bright green, but something along there. And we're going to come up here to this area, this ground that we just put underneath these trees. We're going to start under here, right about up at the base of those trees. And we're just going to kind of go back and forth, and we're putting some highlights. Actually, let's lighten that up a little more so we can see it. Get a lot of paint on your brush. If the paint isn't sticking, and mine's not sticking too well, we're going to reach down and grab some paint thinner. Just grab a little more. All right. I guess I could have got some linseed oil. Let's try the paint thinner first. All right. That should thin our paint just a little bit. I'm going to come back up here. Oh, that's better. Now it's sticking. So we're just going to add some highlights here and there. We're not going to put this solid on our grassy area. If you get a little more on there than what you want, keep tapping it, and it'll smooth out and blend in. Just adding some highlights. You can change your brush up and down or horizontal. Just want to tap in some highlight color and then move on and go somewhere else. Just don't stay in one area. We're just going to add a little bit of highlight. And then stand back and look at what you've done. Sometimes you'll say, ooh, I like over here, I've got that highlight going and I want a little more of that, or I want to put that over here where I don't have as much highlight. Every now and then stand back. If you like what you see, we're ready to move on. If not, you can always change. The other thing we can do is take that color that we're using right now, and we can put some highlights on these trees that we put up here. So you pick out a couple trees. Let's come over here to this one, and you add a little highlight. And I'm using the brush vertically, still using the fan brush, and we're coming vertical. And we're just picking out a couple trees, just to add a little highlight. And I'm picking one side. We didn't put a sun or determine which way the light's coming. We'll talk about that in future episodes. Shading, lighting, and that. We'll focus on that in future episodes. We'll put a sun in and actually have the lighting coming from one side. But if we're going to do a simple painting and we're going to just highlight a couple trees, just pick one side or the other, left or right. If the sun, in your imaginary world and in your painting, maybe the sun's over here. In that case, we'll highlight this side of the trees. Simple. It just keeps things consistent. So you pick a tree, you highlight the right-hand side. That's where the sun's coming from. And we didn't do every one. We're just highlighting a couple. And just doing that actually looks pretty cool. I'm going to diffuse some of this where I'm seeing the whites show through at the bottom of the tree line. I'm going to add a little more color here. Okay. That's looking pretty good. Well, let's move on. What are we going to do down here? What are we going to do? Well, we said we'd do some water. If we're going to do water, then you guys want to do water? I was going to just do grass and a couple trees and then call it done. If you want to do water, we could do water on this one. Why not? Let's do some water. So stick with our fan brush. Let's come back into our darker color that we mixed up earlier with the blue and the green. And if this is water in here and we've got a tree line, we need those trees to reflect into the water. So what we're going to do is do a mirror image of what we did with the tree line at the top. Just put some trees in here. It's an estimation, rough idea. We're gonna these are a little taller right here, so I'm going to come a little farther down with those. There we go. Okay, now that we've got our trees reflected down into what's going to become our water, we're going to let's rinse our fan brush off. Go ahead and we're going to grab our 2-inch brush. Make sure that that's clean and dry. And let's see. Want to make sure this brush is clean and dry for this next step. We're going to create water and reflection. So tap our brush off. Oh. And give it what for down there. Okay. Brush is dry. Let me grab some more paper towels here. And okay. With our clean, dry 2-inch brush, we're going to come up and we're going to start right about where, so we've got trees here, right, that we put in. Then we put in some highlights, like it's the highlights on the ground, the bushes, the grass, whatever it is. We've got highlights. And then we've got a reflection. We put the trees reflecting into the water. So we're going to take our brush and press against right underneath the highlight and right on top of the reflection and pull straight down. Not real hard, just nice and easy, but you want to pull straight down. We're going to come all the way across. Okay. Wipe off our brush real quick. Might even want to rinse that again. We want it to be dry. Shake off the excess paint thinner and give it a good, just beat the devil out of it. There, I said it. You guys thought I was going to say that. Well, I was going to avoid saying that, but it's probably copywritten. I don't know. Okay, where were we? With a clean, dry brush, we're going to start from one side and just 2 hairs and some air, very lightly, go straight across. There we go. All right. Yeah. Just come straight across, nice and easy. And there's our reflections. Okay, now we have water. We are going to get our liquid white, if you still have that, out. Open this up, and we're going to take our palette knife. And shoot, I'll just use, there's liquid white in the lid. I'm just going to use that. We're just going to I've got some liquid white there on the end of the palette knife. We're going to come up here right where the land meets our water, and we're going to just rub in a water line. Grab some more liquid white. And we're just scraping it in there. You're pressing. If you get too much, just rub it a little more. It'll disappear a little bit if you get too much. How's that look from back there? Look like a water's edge. Then we can put some water lines out here. All right. Pretty cool. I'm liking it. You can put as many of these as you want, just a couple, whatever you want. The main thing is water sets level. We want to make sure our water lines are going in the same direction. You don't want to put the water lines in at an angle. It just won't look right. So make sure you're holding your palette knife level. And if you're not sure what level is, or where you should, and that, it's not a dumb question. If you're not sure how to hold your palette knife, use the bottom of your canvas as your guide. That is level, that's straight. That's the same way you should be holding your palette knife, and that same direction, this edge. So, all right, we've got a shoreline, and kind of like it goes back in there. Oh, I see something here. Where did I see it? So this is where you step back and you look at stuff, and you make a decision. To me, it looks like there's a little cove back here, so my water line would come back in here and then come out. Kind of goes back there a little ways. I like that. Okay, enough of that. Let's clean off our palette knife. Let's move on to the next thing. I said this is going to be a quick painting, and I'm doing too much talking. Need to get back to painting. So, what are we going to do here in the front? Well, let's add some more land and a couple trees, and we'll call it done. Okay? Like I said, this is going to be nice and simple. So, we're going to grab our 2-inch brush, which is clean because all we did was use it to make the reflection there. Let's get a dark color. Now, I've got some brown here. I'm going to grab my blue, which is my phthalo blue. Let's grab a bunch of that. Just getting that on the brush, this overhead camera. Grab a bunch of blue, come over here, and we'll dip into the brown. So brown and blue. Nice dark color. Nice dark color. And let's see. Let's come up here with a 2-inch brush, and we're just going to put in, let's pull that through. Put in some land here. And I'm holding it vertical. I'm holding my brush vertical, and I'm pressing it fairly hard into the canvas. Now I'm running out of paint, so when you start running out of paint, make sure you got a lot of paint. And we're just loading up the paintbrush on both sides. Both sides. Come back up here, and I'm holding it vertically and putting quite a bit of pressure. And I'm going up and down and that, but I'm just dabbing it. What we're doing is we're creating all this little leaf and branch stuff there at the top. The brush is automatically doing the work for us. So we just want that top edge to be leafy looking. We don't care what's going on under here for right now. Grab some more color. Now we can fill this in. And grab some more color. A lot of paint. Turn it sideways. I'm getting paint all over my brand new easel. That's all right. Not worried about that. Okay. That looks good. Very good, very good. All right. Let's put the 2-inch brush down for right now. Let's grab our fan brush that we washed, and we're going to come over here and grab, boy, my sap green is really drying out. Some of my painting tubes that I'm using, I found some older ones, and I'm using some of the older paint. If you can possibly use newer paint, that would be good. I just don't want to waste some of this older paint. So I'm going to grab some of the sap green. I'm going to come up here and grab some phthalo blue. I'm going to mix a blue-green. Again, kind of that dark color. Come down here and grab some of this brown that's still left. And just mix up a dark. We're going to put in a couple of evergreen trees, put some highlights on everything, and call it done. All right. Let's see. Where do we see a tree at? Maybe one right. So I've got my fan brush. I've loaded lots of paint up on both sides. And we're going to hold it vertically. And we're going to pick a spot. There's our tree. And we just put a mark. Just at the top of the tree. That's where our tree is. Now we're going to turn it horizontally. And we're going to use the corner of our fan brush to start off with. We just want the corner of the fan brush holding it horizontally, and we're going to go back and forth. More and more pressure. Flip your fan brush over as we go down. Grab some more paint. Don't be worried about grabbing more paint. Don't be shy about it. You want a lot of paint on this fan brush. Come back up here and pick up right where we left off. Grab some more paint. But you want to move down as you're going back and forth, kind of a zigzag pattern. So you're going to, like a Zorro, down this way, down this way, down that way, in a Z type fashion. And we start off, as you can see here at the top, and we go back and forth and keep it real small at the top. So as we go down the tree, we get wider and wider. The tree gets bigger. Branches get farther out. And I didn't cover everything up. You can still see the lake through some of the tree. You can see these background trees. So you don't have to make your evergreen or pine tree solid. You don't have to fill in every square inch of space. You want to stagger, do that Z pattern, and keep moving and keep dropping down. All right, let's make us another tree. Let's grab more of this. I'm running out of my brownish color, so I'm just grabbing some of the blue, some of the green. As long as we've got a dark color. Let's come over to this other side. And let's put in a tree right there. So I made my mark. That's what we do to start out with. And we're going to start out real tiny, just using the corner of the fan brush and make a mark. So there's the very first mark. Let's come up here and let's finish this tree. So we got our very first branch, and it's going at an angle like that. We're going to turn the brush the opposite way and come back that way. Back and forth, back and forth, back, dropping down, dropping down. Grab some more paint. We're running out of paint. Got to make sure a lot of paint. And the farther we go down and the bigger our tree gets, the harder we press to get that. All right, we've got a tree. Now, if you've got a spot that looks like it needs a little something there, add in a little branch, whatever you think it needs there. All right, that looks good. Let's put in another one right next to it. Where there's one tree, there's usually another. We're going to make this one a little shorter. So we're going to start there. Grab some more paint. And as you go down through, we're covering up some of our lake, which is fine. Covering up some of that shoreline. That's all right. All right. Another tree. Okay, I think we're done with the trees. We're just going to keep it simple. Let's let me set that down. Wash the fan brush off. We got that washed. Shake it off. Grab our paper towel. Wipe our fan brush. In fact, I'm going to go through and wash all of our brushes. Okay, now that we've washed all of our brushes, everything's cleaned up. We've got our evergreen trees on both sides. We've got our bushes down here. Let's grab our palette knife, and all you need is the point. We're going to use the point of the palette knife. We're going to come up here and we're going to scrape in some little branches and sticks, just here and there. Just here and there. Gives it a little bit of detail. All right, so we scrape that in. Wipe that off. I'm going to use my my 1 inch. This is the 1 inch oval brush. Haven't used this brush a whole lot. It's new, a new brush for me. It's always good to have new stuff, like Christmas. We're gonna come in here to our yellow, but I think I'm gonna grab a little of that linseed oil that I talked about earlier that I have in a little container. I dipped into the linseed oil, and I'm gonna come in here to my yellow and green color that I had mixed up earlier that we used here on the tree highlights right across here. Same color, yellow and sap green. And I dipped into some linseed oil. That's going to thin our paint down so it sticks. So a thin paint will stick to a thick paint. Bob Ross used to say that all the time, and it's true. And okay, let's come up here, and we're just going to press. Just dabbing, pick out what your bush looks like. So I'll put some highlights on. Now, I don't want to fill all that in. Part of what makes a painting look good is light against dark, dark against light. If you fill everything in with a color, you have no contrast in that. So as I just put that top layer of bush in, I'm going to come underneath it, leave a little space, a little darkness, and start another part of the bush, right? In here. So that there's a little variation. Now, in another episode, painting episode, we'll be adding some reds and probably some yellow ochre, some other colors to vary our bush color. If you have those colors, you're welcome to mix it up. I'm just going to do keep it nice and simple with the sap green and the yellow that we're using right now for our color. So let's pick out another little bush. And we're just, again, leave a little bit of dark. What we want these areas of dark in between our bushes. Come back and get a little more color. And let me step back and see what anything. Okay. Grab a little more linseed oil. My paint's starting to thicken up again. I want to keep this paint thin. So just dipped into some linseed oil and then back into my paint. All right, let's come over here to this side and see what we got. Maybe there's a bush. He comes up here right in front of the pine tree. Right in front of that pine tree. Grab a little more linseed oil, thin this paint out. And all right, not bad. Not bad. I think we've got a finished painting. And there's the timer that tells me it's time to go. So we can sign this one. And let's pick a color. See, we didn't even use our liner brush today. I thought we were. But again, I said we're going to do a simple painting. Wouldn't take us very long. If I would have talked less and just painted, we could have had this done in 10 or 15 minutes. But I hope you learned a little by me explaining. And I'm glad you followed along on the very first episode, the painting episode. So we're going to dip into a little bit of that linseed oil, and let's go into, well, let's use titanium white. We're just going to use white. Come up here and grab a little more. We're going to sign this one right there. Okay, there's the signed painting. Thank you so much for following along, and I'll see you on the next episode. I'm Robbie. Thanks for joining with me today and painting along. We'll see you later.